So, as many of you have probably heard, there are many initiatives nationally and internationally in relation to research in the area of AI and machine learning. So we wanted to spend now a little bit of time before the dinner to give you a little bit of information about these different initiatives, and also for you to meet people actually from WASP that are part of these different initiatives in case you would like to get involved. So we are going to do this in two parts. We have two of these initiatives being presented before the coffee break, which is starting 3:15. So we have half an hour before the coffee break. There are going to be two presentations, and then we're going to continue after the coffee break. And the idea is that we end up with a short panel discussion at the end, where I think it would be really, really good if you come up with lots of questions that you would like to pose to the speakers. And I think that it's extremely important you get to know all these initiatives, especially those international ones, because Sweden is unfortunately not so very visible in the European initiatives. And why is this important? It's important because, as you all know, there is a next framework program that is being prepared, Digital Europe. And there will be lots of money and more money for AI than it used to be. But it does require lots of lobbying and strategic alliances, and some of these you're going to hear about then after the coffee break also. Okay, so Martin Svensson is going to, right, that's the first presentation, going to tell us a little bit about the AI innovation of Sweden. No, you
yes. This one, right? Thank you. And thank you very much for inviting me to give you a short presentation of what we do. It's really early stage for this initiative. Many of you guys know much more about AI than what I and the team do, but we have at least talked to a huge number of people in Sweden and elsewhere about AI, so we think we have a fairly good view of where we stand as a country. And I will go through this very rapidly. There's lots to say, but I just want to give you a glance. So this started for us in May last year, when our former Minister of Digitalization asked us to plan for a national initiative to actually accelerate the use of AI. And that is perhaps not the easiest task in the world, but at least we took it on. And one of the key ideas behind that is cross-sector collaboration. And we were tasked to at least cover these four areas. They are initial areas. We are complementing these with partners from new areas, but it was more to push us to go beyond our typical relationships. This is hosted by Lindholmen Science Park, a non-profit organization here in Gothenburg. And we have a long relationship with the automotive industry, with Ericsson. We have about 15 of our largest corporations as owners. So they wanted to push us to go beyond that and really find ways of accelerating things. And there are a number of ways we have identified to do that, and I'll take you through those. Obviously, from Vinnova, that was asked by the government to implement this. We were asked also to not to replicate anything, but rather to complement what is already there. And obviously, you guys are the part of the largest initiative, but there are more that we need to try to do the best out of. And we're happy to see that there are more and more initiatives coming. These were basically the four major ones when we started out about half a year ago then. Obviously, the task of AI for industry and society is enormous, so we need all initiatives we can get. But these four are obviously key to Sweden and to its success. We wanted to structure an initiative with as broad partnership as possible. And since this was a fairly new area, we didn't know what we could expect. So we set the target for ourselves to have about 20 partners when we were to launch during the winter. But when we opened in early February, we had actually 40 partners. committing to be part of this. And we're quite happy with the backing we have received from industry. The consultancy firms, I used to say that they've surprised us tremendously by being part of this. We hardly ever see them in this kind of innovation programs, even less frequent to actually co-invest with cash, which they have done here. A first list of small companies and startups, some very, very focused on AI. We think it's very, very important that next to the research that most of you are part of, we also use the innovative power of our small companies to drive innovation in this field. Obviously, in this kind of context, you typically have industry, academia, and society joining these kind of programs. And you see a first list of academic and research institutes. We have quite a few more joining now in a couple of weeks when we have our first opportunity to join again. And public sector, we have 2 healthcare providers, one more joining shortly. We really wanted to have one authority, and the tax agency joined immediately. The space agency called us basically the first day we had received this assignment, and the Swedish Association of Municipalities and Regions is also a key partner for us, because we really want to help regions and municipalities over time to apply AI and to improve welfare eventually, but the service to our citizens. And addressing municipalities, we have 290 odd ones in Sweden. That is not something we will do on our own. So that was also a key partner. I expect about 10 new partners to join now at the end of the month. Those discussions are ongoing. So how can one actually accelerate the use of AI? Well, we believe in a few things. We want to act in a neutral way. We say we are not academia, we are not society, and we're not industry. We are that glue in between that make things happen in collaboration. And we have a proven track record of that since many, many years. And we run some of the largest innovation programs we have in Sweden. So we think we know how to do. Here we really want to focus on horizontal things, meaning aspects of AI that are of interest to many. As one example, I want to mention one project that we have, which we think of as a Swedish reference data set for NLP. And it's been quite amazing, actually, when we came up with this rather simplistic idea to create a data set that many could use. We had quite a short time to put this project together, and meanwhile we had a lot of meetings scheduled, and every single organization we talked to said, yes, we want to be part. We have this need, or this need, or this need. So that is one example of a horizontal question that we can contribute with. Collaborative approach is all we do. We are not necessarily that interested in one-to-one relationships. We are there to make things happen between our partners and help that, not too small projects. There are many innovation programs. There are strategic innovation programs, 17 of them. There are all kinds of various structures in Sweden. They are of various size. To start with, this is a fair size, although one must be very humble towards the topic of AI. Obviously, it's a massive task for society and industry to take on the opportunities and challenges coming. But we have a fairly good start to get this going, and hope to drive this quickly forward on a project basis. So we are mostly funded by Vinnova, 10 million a year. The region here, which has some very strong regional development capacities, 5 million, and the rest are from partners. We'll probably exceed the figure 25 this year, but that's of less interest as such. What do we want to achieve? Well, we want to contribute to Sweden being a leading nation in what we have called holistic application of AI. What do we mean by that? Well, we don't necessarily think we can be the very best in fundamental research. There are other nations that are investing so much more, so that will be challenging. But we think that we collectively together across the triple helix sector can actually excel when it comes to applying AI in in a very good way, in an ethical way, secure way, transparent way, etc. And we hope we can also get recognition for that. In more practical terms, we are busy establishing a few resources that I'd like you to know of. The most simplistic one, and we have started already, is obviously these kind of meetings where we inspire or drive knowledge. We have done quite a few, and on Friday, for those of you interested, we have Lex Friedman and Brian Reimer from MIT here in Gothenburg talking on 2 topics, and that's followed up with Philip Anderson from Harvard Medical School on data-driven healthcare. So that's rather easy to do. We believe very much in co-locating researchers. So we have opened our first co-location site. There are more coming across Sweden. But the first one is here in Gothenburg, and the idea is to co-locate researchers, developers, or teams from our partners in order to sit together and find those collaborative ideas, those horizontal values that we can work on. And it has been quite amazing so far to see what actually comes up in these kind of meetings and common project ideas, because as you know, a lot of the AI aspects are quite similar, regardless if you produce pharmaceutical products or cars. So we really see benefit of that. The 2 main resources we want to provide on a national basis are what we call the Data Factory. It's a small, but I think very important investment in terms of infrastructure and knowledge to drive sharing of data. We have quite a few discussions now with industry and public sector where they want to donate data to drive research. And that can be investments that they have made on their part of many, many millions that we want to facilitate you guys getting access to as researchers. So I think this will be important. We started a month ago to drive that, and very happy to take discussions on that. The other one is collaborative projects. That's what we do typically as an organization, and we want to do that even better here. And I'm glad EU was mentioned. I think we collectively need to become better in Sweden to actually utilize that opportunity as one resource. But there are also a lot of funding opportunities nationally if you get your projects consortiums together. I'll be happy to help there. So Data Factory, once again, the idea is to facilitate the making data accessible. We have a number of projects coming on there. The co-location, which is here in Gothenburg, it's in the Ericsson building. Very happy to host you there if you happen to be here and want to explore what we can do. There are 2 more discussions going on with Kista Science City. We start a pre-study to do the similar thing in the Stockholm area, and with Region Skåne, and probably one of their organizations will do the same in Malmö. So hopefully in half a year we have more concrete plans on how these co-location sites will open up. Projects, again, we are really good when it comes to finding funding for more applied problems in broad consortium, as mentioned. And we are very happy to help you find collaborators, include you in the projects we are already involved with, or whatever could make sense, where we can utilize external funds in the best possible way. The Swedish reference data set I mentioned, we also hope to get another project off the ground together with the National Space Agency, which would be basically to put satellite data in a structure where one could more easily apply machine learning techniques or deep learning techniques and be innovative on that. There are plenty of satellite data out there, but there are not that many applications as of today. Yeah, here is one example. This was brought together in a couple of weeks, as I said. Quite a few partners from various fields that were interested in one and the same topic. If you'd like to be part of this or utilize the database eventually, let us know. We're happy to take on more partners. Also want to mention, I know you have your own summer school. I just want to mention, together with Ivica and Share, we have secured 6 spots at Skoltech Summer School in Moscow. They have quite an impressive list of international contributors and tutors, if someone of you would be interested. that's a very short introduction to AI Innovation of Sweden. Feel free to join us and stay up to date on AI.se.
Thank you so very much, Martin. So we'll leave questions. Yeah. We'll leave questions then for the panel.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ivica, please. So you're going to tell us about CHAIR, and I think that almost any university in Sweden now has an AI initiative, so next year we'll probably hear the rest.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Actually, it's about 3 initiatives, not 1 but 3. You get 1 for 3. So AI Competence for Sweden, Chalmers AI Research Center Chair, and the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning at Lund. But let us start with this first one. AI Competence for Sweden, what is that? That's a national initiative for education and competence development in AI, and it's funded by the Swedish government and organized by 7 universities at the moment. I don't know if you have seen this movie, The Magnificent Seven, so not everyone survived, but it worked out well. No, actually, it's the idea that this will be enlarged. So the project is now running this year and next year, but most probably it will continue during next years with more universities. And what it is about? It is about organizing AI courses and data science courses on basic or an advanced level and primary for industry and similar organizations as a part of lifelong learning. And the subjects are related to AI, so applications of AI, computer vision, data science, and so on different places or using remotely education. And so the question is what you can do for AI competence. So, okay, you may ask the question what this center can do for you, but you can also ask what you can do it for it, because most of you are experienced in AI. So if you are from industry or you have contacts with industry, then it's a good idea to inform the industry partners about the opportunity to take these courses. At this moment, there is also quite because it's funded from the government, it is much cheaper than it is usual, and there are opportunities to take different courses, so it's a good time to take these courses. Also, you can offer maybe your knowledge and help in organizing or giving this course, some of these courses. Or even maybe we should also attend such a course. Anyhow, you can contact people from these universities. So each university has a representative. And I think there are at least 2 here, Amy from Örebro and Fredrik from Linköping. So you can talk with them about that. So that's about education. And then the second initiative, it's about more about the research. CHAIR. So what is CHAIR? Chalmers AI Research Center. And so, you know, on the way of AI, and I would also say inspired by WASP, Chalmers has decided to put investment to increase excellence in AI, significantly increase excellence at AI at Chalmers. Both like strengthened AI basic research, applied and then applied AI research, and in general coordinate different activities, many activities which are ongoing at Chalmers related to AI, and also support education. And Chalmers has provided funding almost 400 million crowns for the next 10 years. And assuming that at least half of that sum, if not exactly the same sum, would be attracted from other sources, from partners. And what is the focus on CHAIR? So the focus area, you can see it's like 3 layers. The bottom layer, or this ground layer, is about AI foundation, so it's about AI itself. mostly related to data science and then machine learning and deep learning. And then the middle layer is about so-called AI enablers. So looking at the systems which are using or are supposed to use AI and maybe have specific requirements. For example, real-time requirements, safety requirements, limited availability of resources, and similar, which makes using of AI and development of AI-based functions much more challenging. For example, here it is about software engineering, how to develop such a system. We have heard this morning it's not only about the algorithms, there are a lot of other things which are needed to successfully develop such systems. And then on the top level, selected area, applied area, and you can see here like 3 areas: transport, automation and IoT, and life science and health engineering. Why these 3 areas? There are 2 reasons. The first reason is because there is expertise on Chalmers in this area, and the second, there is a very strong cooperation with industry and other partners in these areas. And complementary to that, we'll take care about ethical questions related to development of AI, because such questions arises and are becoming like a primary objection of research, and not only of research but also in practice. Then like providing and thinking specifically on sustainability, which in general is one of the goals of Chalmers. And then of course towards innovation, and use the opportunity to improve equality questions at Chalmers, and then more broader on technical area in Sweden. And basically we will run 2 types of projects. One type is related to Chalmers internal projects, where Chalmers researchers can apply and use money for their own research. And the other is with collaboration. Others are collaboration projects with partners, with industrial partners, where we together work on particular problems. So the idea is chair is like build an ecosystem, which is like you can see it like in several circles. One is a chair at Chalmers for Chalmers researchers, but then very close cooperation to smaller number of partners, industrial partners, which are involved in chair very intensively, both financially and putting together efforts. Then partners which are working in particular projects on the project basis, and then many associated partners which have their own programs, their own goals, but together we can achieve much more. So just some examples of partners, and we are in phase of signing contracts with several partners to become core partners. So you can see here on the left side, and probably you recognize many companies which are also active in WASP. Then for associated partners, of course, WASP is the main one, and there are some other partners. And in particular, I would like to say a few words about the relation between WASP and chair. Because you may think, okay, there are some overlapping things. WASP is already doing so much, so why do we need chair? But the idea is, of course, to make AI area in Sweden much stronger. And for the coordination, we have like ensured on personal basis already like that. So Sarah Mazur, so the coming chair of WASP board, is in the advisory board of chair. I am involved in WASP as a member of program management group, and here as director of chair. And then Fredrik Karl, who is in the operational team, also in chair is also in program management group for WASP AI. So in that sense, we will ensure that we have all the time information about our activities and can easily integrate and make some activities and make good coordinations. And what type of coordinations we will have, or collaboration? So first, for example, if you are like a PhD student, WASP PhD student, you can participate in events which will be organized by chair. For example, be coming to participate in PhD courses or some summer school, or some other special events organized by chair, like some particular seminar or similar. Then also the students which will get chair funding, PhD students, would be able to apply to be associated partners of associated PhD students on WASP, and in this way also be part of WASP. When it's coming to recruitment, so WASP has a great mechanism, you know, for recruitment, and from the chair side we are looking that we can in some way both help and utilize that recruitment. So for example, for some selected candidate, chair can provide additional funding, additional package, and that is of course for the applicant, for those which are employed at Chalmers. But it can be also the case, which we have seen, that there can be very interesting candidates, but maybe not for WASP programs, but can be very interested for Chalmers. So it's a very good source of information coming from WASP, which researchers, which candidates are very good. So we can use this information. And similarly is with PhD calls and PhD programs, which WASP has, and chair can provide some additional package or additional helps to this project, or even look at maybe those projects which are not selected by WASP that can be supported by chair, if it's that of interest for chair or for Chalmers. And the last one is related cooperation with industry. So Chalmers and chair has a lot of and very strong cooperation with the companies, okay, regional, but also on Swedish and international level. And that can be utilized to make some common activities. So when we have talked about research professors or postdocs, which industrial postdocs, for example, or industrial PhD students, that can be combined. Either to make a common package or introduce people coming from academia to industry. So chair can help in this to facilitate that process, and not at least related to VARA. And that's information about the chair. So you can see more info, you can see of that web page. So if you just write chair Chalmers, you will get that web page, and you can also subscribe to chair news to get this information. Okay, and now is the third initiative, which will come, of course, from.
So before we end, before coffee, as Ivica said, almost all universities they have their own initiative on AI machine learning, and so does Lund University. And I would just take the opportunity to give some information about this. So it's called AIML at LU, AI Machine Learning at Lund University. And we did a survey, and we found that there is approximately 100 faculty and 300 PhD students at Lund University working on AI. And some of them have done so since '65. And they are in all faculties, I mean engineering, but also medicine, law, economy, humanities, etc. So last year it was decided to start this as a kind of bottom-up initiative to gather everyone with interests in AI and machine learning in Lund. And this has actually received a tremendous amount of interest. And a number of workshops, seminars, and also small conferences have been organized so far on different subjects within AI machine learning. Next Thursday, we have the annual conference, or the powwow, as it's called. And in addition to speakers from the AI community, we also have Anders Borg, if anyone is interested in knowing what he's doing nowadays. And we also have Johan Wester as the moderator, so it can be quite fun too. Yeah, so if you are interested in this initiative, you could contact Kalle Öström at Computer Vision in Lund, because he's probably the single person who knows the most and has the most influence over this. So, thank you.